Okay, great. Welcome back, everybody. Hello. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Let's see what we got here. Wawa, everybody. Wawa Nui. Wawa Nui. Feeling the need to speak to. I did see, yes, I saw some of that, and I absolutely resonated. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I had to share it for later. But yeah, I want to share that as well. Kiani is he is another Lemurian, and he's been taught from his grandmother, and he has longstanding in the Hawaiian Islands. So he is based, I believe, in Maui. And I loved his discussion, his wisdom that he was sharing from his grandmother. Annie Bear has it under her posts, and I'm going to see if I can share that as well. The complete trauma of loss that he speaks to, of losing Mu and losing Lemuria, was truly fascinating, because he was speaking of, and of course the spine was highlighted. And then a couple of weeks ago, whenever I was doing the energy healing for everybody, that vision came through for me, that I could see everybody's spines and skulls, and they had gone crystalline, which was just gorgeous. So it was nice. It really resonated with me. I was so glad that you shared that, Annie Bear. And Rossi saying Wawa Nui to everybody. As I was explaining on the other thread, Wa is the Lemurian principle of first love. Wawa, of course, is much love, and Wawa Nui means much love to everyone. Yeah, this fellow, Keone, I have heard of him before. I had not seen Heather before, but I had heard of Keone. And I'm going to repeat it, that unfortunately, I do have a cold sore this week. I am terribly sorry if it is distracting. It's on its way out, but of course, it's still highly distracting on my chin. But you gotta love cold sores. Just a little too much stress. But yeah, I was really fascinated with his chat that he was doing. He was sharing a lot of wisdom that came through his grandmother line, and so that was truly fascinating. Oh yeah, Paul. Okay, here we go. So moved back to Pennsylvania. South Carolina was just not me. I am from Pennsylvania. Yeah, staying with the youngest, so far so good. I am so glad. I'm really pleased that you got over there and that you got to experience it, because sometimes we will just get in there and we don't even try it at all. At least you tried it on, and it's like, no. I don't know. You really do resonate, and there are different locations that will resonate with different people. So, where one person may feel um, very content and happy on a mountainside, they need that elevation. Other people will feel like they're going to fly off into space. Some other people in, let's say, like Louisiana or a swampy delta type area, they will feel like the earth is hugging them and supporting them. And yet with other people, it will feel like they're being suffocated. So we kind of need to be able to move around and see what's going to be in our best alignment for that. So let's go down here, inner knowing. Aw. Wah. Wowza. Yeah, it was really fascinating. I really need to share that one that Annie Bear had. I am feeling very unsettled. I feel movement deep underground. Funny that you should mention that, Hypnicity. I don't know that I actually mentioned that on here, but about 2 days ago, oh, thank you. That's so sweet. My cold sore is just my body kicking it out. I wish. The thing jumped. What was I saying? Oh, yes. For the 2 weeks back, I was laying in bed, and I'm located on the Oregon coast. And so I was falling asleep. Husband had already fallen asleep. I was really shocked that it didn't wake him up. But I had felt a slight tremor. Now, my bed is nothing more than a memory foam mattress. I mean, a huge memory foam mattress. So to feel things, yes, you can feel things. Like during one of our worst storms, I could feel it through the ground and everything. But normally, no. It takes a lot for a memory foam. And I thought, a little bit of shaking is pretty normal for us. mild shaking, pretty normal. You're going to feel, if you're laying flat, you can feel the earthquakes, of course. But then all of a sudden, it jumped my bed up like this enormous flump, and then back down to the ground. It felt like a good 18-inch jump. And at the same time, just prior to the motion of the bed going up in the air, I saw a flash of light from the ground go straight up. Now, you can get what's called piezoelectricity, and that is lights that will happen around an earthquake. And of course, I'm like, oh, great. I wonder if I need to grab the hubby for, an actual shakeout. But it stopped immediately. So that tells me that actually was not an earthquake, even though we have tons of small tremors and things. But it will, I think it was an activation. I think something had shifted and was coming from the ground itself. It's kind of like, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had the Telosians that were trying to contact with Randy. So it's interesting. So let's see what else we have in here. Yes, the 102 fern medicines and the emotions, the different emotions. Yeah, and that was just that, sometimes we forget that we're all connected to all of our emotions as well. And Lee Carroll took us through how we were interspersed. Yeah. And that's interesting too, because the impact of our spiritual DNA and our ancestral DNA and the history and everything, it is all interwoven. There was a study that was done, an experiment, and I don't agree with it, but it was still fascinating all the same. What they did was they took some lab mice and they gave them the smell of cherry blossoms, and then they traumatized the mice. Later on, they went ahead and bred the mice, and then it was the next generation and the generation after that. They introduced the smells. They did not have the same traumatic experience as the initial lab mice had experienced. But even without having had that experience, the offspring had the same trauma responses as the initial mice. So that does speak to the traumas that have happened, and we've gone through a lot, because it's not just your lifetime that you've had here. There's been 26,000 years of traumas on the planet, and so it speaks to that interweaving as well. So we're undoing, the people that are here, kudos to you, truly, because you guys are the ones standing up and going, hey, we really need to undo this stuff. And the nice thing about it is, with our DNA, it's already got all of the wisdom, as the one man in Hawaii was saying, we already have the wisdom in our bodies. And I think as we get more and more of the photons coming in from our central sun, it's going to be lighting up more. It's going to already do its intuit. The things are going to come back online, and we'll have the information, and we will evolve just naturally. Go. Paul is having an experience in Pennsylvania. Fascinating. I saw last Friday afternoon a dot in the sky, and it was black. Dr. Gale said it was a spaceship. So that's your first one. I knew it was going to happen, Paul. I knew it, simply because it's time for you to start seeing these things. I am flabbergasted in a good way that Atlantis came from. Yeah, and exactly this. This was what I had told you a long time ago. Because sometimes people are like, yes, and yes, there was a war, and yes, Atlantis did fall. But there was a fight between Atlantis and Lemuria, and it basically was a fight between. The problem with Atlanta at the time was that Atlantis wanted to go more and more into the head, and with Lemuria, it was more heart-based, and so they were trying to find that balance. And really, it's a knowing of, we're going into Tutama. So we have Tefaya, which is the mother energy. That is your heart space. We have Matua, which is your head space, the masculine. And we're aiming for the high heart, which is the child, Tutama. You're gonna do a grounding diamond, right? Yeah, and these things, the UFOs, they go exceedingly fast, and that's how you, that's part of how you know that these are not human based, because when they go through, it's not just the fact that they can move exceedingly fast, but also that they go at these strange angles as well. So, let's see, while watching, scrolling. Oh, you had a shaker as well. You know, I'm happy whenever they are mild, and a lot of them. And we do live on the Pacific North Coast, in the Pacific Northwest. It's very volcanic. We sit on the ring of fire. If we have a whole bunch of them shaking, I'm happy with that. It's whenever it goes dead silent that we have a problem, because then it turns into a pressure cooker, and that's so not good. Yeah, ancestral amnesia, it does explain a lot. Absolutely, absolutely. I'd love to know. Oh, beautiful crossing the ocean to Rapa Nui. I'd love to know why I've had so many lifetimes with Merlin and why I'm so captivated. Madame Blavatsky, she was one that brought forward the last time that we were in an Aquarian age. It lined up with more of the knowing, and that's part of what she was bringing forward as well. Beautiful. I saw my first UFO. Hi, Rush. I saw my first UFO in the late 70s. Yeah, I think my first proper UFO was in the early 80s that I saw. Our cosmic cousins. Speaking of, let's do some Lemurian coding right quick. So, just wanted to get everybody here energetically on the same space. Yeah, hang on just a second here. I've been angry with, and this was part of it. I have been angry with Atlantis. Sometimes we have things that we think is embedded in our DNA. And sometimes we will take on the guilt, the shame, or the anger, the outrage. You know, you did this to my people over the years. And sometimes we can be really wrapped up in that pathway. And yet, whenever we come and go, a lot of this is the universe itself, is its consciousness, and you can feel into that. And it's having experiences with itself in different guises, in different forms. And I'm going to speak to this right quick too, because that was why I was telling you before, because it seemed like you had been, and some people have done this too, where they're like, I was an Atlantean in that lifetime, and so they'll take on the shame or the guilt or the anger, and you don't have to do it, because you are here in this body, in this time, in this space. Don't take on the energy of what used to happen in a different lifetime. It is your opportunity to either collapse that entirely, or the other thing is you can go into the reverse of that. It's like, okay, well, I screwed up in that lifetime. Maybe, because I still don't think it's you. But what would be the higher response to whatever I was faced with in that moment? And again, if you're living in the moment and it's like, okay, I've been angry with Atlantis this time through. Maybe you want to do more to feel more open with your heart. And maybe you can't do that with humans, because let's face it, humans have a lot of baggage, and we're just navigating like bees in a bottle. But you could be having a relationship with your favorite rose bush, or you could be having a relationship with your dog or your cat, or even you could be walking down your favorite pathway and having a conversation with your favorite tree. You know, these are ways to get more into your heart space to help balance that angry, you shouldn't have done it thing. That's fine. You've got a chance to do over. So let's just do over. So let's see. Navigating under the southern hemisphere skies isn't something that I can work out from Lemuria to the south in the Pacific Eastern Island. It's a little confusing because, as I said, right now, my Lemurian calendar works 6 months ahead. We're literally coming to the end of 2025, and we are coming into the winter space for the Southern Hemisphere. And yet it's still a calendar that works around the globe because Lemuria itself moved. It's not just, yes, that is where the light first touches down on the globe, first flash. But Lemuria itself and the other iterations moved around the globe. So whenever we get these echoes, like Hypnicity was saying with, I've always been drawn to Merlin. Yes, absolutely. You can have these things that you're drawn to. That was Lemuria too. That was in Tara. So let's see here. This thing is not cooperating today. Okay, so I hope my waking up is guarding and helping to. You know, what we need, Annie Bear, is exactly what's happening right now. And I've started to work on it, and I'm sure everybody else is as well. We need to ensure that it keeps bubbling along, that it continues to have these good, healthy tremors and good, healthy quakes. And by healthy, I mean anything that is, usually we'll see them in the 3s and the 2s, but even the 4s, 4.5s are healthy. Sometimes you'll see spikes that will go up into the 5.5s or even the 6.1s. Those are still okay. The ones that are scary are whenever there is no activity whatsoever, and then it needs to release. So as long as it is doing the smaller tremors like the 3.3s and the 4.4s, I'm happy with this. I would love to see more and more clusters of those being small. And I know that there is some healthy venting that goes, because whenever we drive up and down the coast, there's sometimes that you're driving along and you smell like rotten eggs, and that is the sulfur vents, and that's another one that is easing itself off as well. Oh, I haven't seen one. Rossi, all you have to do is just ask. A lot of times with the UFOs, it's kind of like right now, the ones that I'm seeing is they're rainbow twinkly light. They look like a star, but then they move. And that's just it's very similar to whenever I'm talking to the animals. What I do is I just simply ask for, and in the case of, like, Paul's going to probably say it as well, most of the time you're going about your normal day and you have no idea that it's even going to come to you. And then all of a sudden you'll see it and it kind of rocks your world around. Yeah, I'm in the shadow of it's the same, you know, whenever I came back out here, Hood had grown. Mount Hood had really grown on the one side. So, yeah, a little alarming looking. Yep, shake, rattle, and roll. Yeah. Well, I don't mind that. Let's see. Paul Fried. Hole was black. So let me see. Saturday night, saw a black hole. My sister in the hallway. It's from them, done in a whirlpool, walking towards it. And then when I woke up, that was from them. The hole was black. Actually, yeah, Paul, it feels like the same thing where you're going towards that vortex then. Yeah, you can absolutely let it go. That's beautiful, Annie Bear. I am so glad. And yeah, you are from Moo. Everybody hits heroes. And I have no doubt that we took turns even doing the Atlantean stuff as well, because it's an experience. Let's see. Yeah, absolutely, Atlantis served a purpose. Saw a vision. Hamanisa, Hamanisa. I saw a vision of a flying machine. It was large, flying very low, and I saw it from below over my head. I don't know what it was. Wow, that's huge. Neat. Not entirely true. With this, people did know, but it was hidden. It was kept in the mystery schools. So, let's see. Thinking it was an invitation to hell. The main thing, I got that it was a vortex or a portal. Paul. Okay, people. We're going to do some energy work here before too terribly long. Yeah, I can feel that. Somebody's wanting me to do some energy work. Whoever you are, just be a little more patient here. Thinking that was an invitation to hell. Paul, the main thing on that is going to be what your feeling was. If it was dread, one, dread sensation can come from if there is an electromagnetic field that's been set up. Sometimes you can get that dread feeling because the frequencies that are being put out there are they're infrasounds, and that can cause the paralyzation in the fear response in a human. I always say trust your gut instinct. If you think it's not for you, obviously you'll back away, and you can always bring in the light. You can always reach for and get the light going from above and below. Balance yourself that way, and then you can push that out into a pillar of light so that you are larger than whatever is making you afraid. And physically, you can always just back away from whatever it is. There are portals that will open in and around different areas of the world. I mean, when I was growing up, I used to go hiking, and it wasn't just, I tended to be a lot more intuitive, but, I had high school friends that were just, to use a Harry Potter term, they were muggles. They were just going about their normal day. And they would go hunting at night, but even they knew not to go into particular valleys whenever they were running with their hunting dogs. There's just some places that you just don't go into at a particular time, and that can be an opening into a space where you can't get back here. It's just not a healthy space for you. Yeah, it's like hypnicity saying, whenever I get angry, then I need to see what is this trying to teach me? And sometimes if we just acknowledge that we're angry about something and we can observe it, it can feel validated that it has actually been paid attention to. And either you'll have an understanding of why it appears, or it will present itself even more so that you can help to resolve it as well. I had felt that the timelines, yes, quite a lot. I had felt timelines were manipulated and mangled by egos ages ago. Yeah, that's exactly it. And it was done for quite a long time. But that was then, and this is now. Sparrows, I love the little sparrows. I have a lot of thrushes and pine siskins and things that keep coming. Yep. We love the rumblings. I have channeled Saint Germain. Saint Germain is another yeah, he is. Absolutely. I was about to say that. He is another incarnation of Merlin. Yay. So let me see. What is talking about Dr. Doolittle? That's funny. Hi, Lori Hunsinger. I'm just trying to scroll through here. What is talking about regarding the earthquakes? For myself, I have been asking that Mother Nature, because she is going through the same changes that we are. She's been getting a lot more of the photonic energies. And of course, there are timelines where everybody's like, oh, this is going to go cataclysmic. And I'm like, I love where I live. I love the Pacific Northwest. I don't want it to go apocalyptic or whatever you want to call it. I would prefer to continue having the Pacific Northwest be just a nice, healthy area. And of course, earthquakes and our volcanoes are part of they're part of our landscape. Just like in other areas, you have hurricanes that are part of the landscape, tornadoes are part of the landscape. So in our area, we have small tremors, and that's just it too. Our area is not quite like down south. There are earthquakes that we look for, but we're not like California when it comes to earthquakes. We just don't. So hi, Lori Hunsinger. Very happy to have you here. And the Dr. Doolittle, this was what I was going to laugh about. The Dr. Doolittle song displayed in my head. I was going to give the information that, yeah, it's going to be in my community posts. This weekend, I actually am going to be on, it's with Lori it's Lori Rayon with Master Pudicat and Loren Gailey on New Earth Network. And there is a direct link in my posts, community posts, and I'll be sure to post that again. We did a round robin last Saturday. It's completely free. There's Zoom calls, but it is completely free. And this weekend, we're going to be doing a summit about animal communication and interspecies communication. And so it's a really exciting collection of speakers that we have. And my speech is going to be on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so it's going to be helping people to just explore the idea of communicating with your pets or with animals that are in and around you, and some of the feedback that you can get from them, what it is kind of like. And I'm personally of the opinion that I think everybody is telepathy. I do. I mean, we start off as babies being nonverbal. And so I think as we get older, we're taught as children that that is just your imagination. And so it's a matter of learning to undo the programming that says that, no, it's just your imagination, and revalidating what you already know. I'm so glad Paul's back in Pennsylvania. You just feel like you need to be there. And hey, that could be it. You might be needing to be there so that you can talk to cosmic cousins and hold the space there. So let me see. Got messed up. Not recovered. Is anybody having experiences knocking you off? Yeah, actually, last week has been a little tumultuous with that. So I'm not going to give power to it, but yeah, there was some doomy, gloomy stuff that came shifting through, and it feels doomy. And some of it's just not needed at all. There it goes. Cool. We read on Moo in our Akashic practice group. That's wonderful. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Scroll in. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit here. Alchemy definitely helps. Oh, thank you. Please remember to like and subscribe. Not been dissolving this feeling of falling off. Hi, CJ. How you doing? This feeling of falling off and something got stuck. Okay. You too. Yeah, actually, the Pacific Northwest is definitely Lemuria 5. And absolutely, because it's where it came from originally. It's right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we quit reporting quakes. Yeah, they're busy fixated on the volcano that's off of Cannon Beach. Looks as if they're going to stop at the state lines. Always felt connected to Bali. That would be Lemuria 3 for Bali. And that is one of the wisdom spots as well. Downloads always make me sleepy. Yep, which is wonderful, because that means when you're asleep, it takes your conscious mind out of the way so that you can actually integrate it a lot faster. And joy makes me weepy. It's a really interesting thing with humans that we do this. It's a counterbalance thing. The brain, sometimes it's like if it gets too much dopamine at once, then it will flip to a different chemical response in the brain as well. And so you'll have things like, suddenly if I am so joyful, you'll run into the crying. To give a great example of that, there was a lady, she tried, it was her third time trying for the Westminster Kennel Club. It was Madison Square Garden, I believe it was this year in February, and she finally won with her giant schnauzer. And she was so overwhelmed because they had tried for 3 times. And she started to burst into tears because they had won. And her puppy was looking at her like, oh, but I thought this was a good thing. It's funny. Let's see. Ethnicity, I'll be giving the link. You can find it in my community posts. I've already done the link. It's a Zoom link in my community posts, but I'll be sure to post it again. And it is free, absolutely free. Quake in Alaska 64 wiped out a valley close to the US border. Yeah, everybody has been talking about that as well, too. Am I able to tell which state? One of the things that you can do, Rossi, and this is for anybody, is you could go over to, it's called astro.com. In their free readings, they have a segment where it tells you location. And so you can geographically go into that and enter in your birth information, where you were born, time, date, all of that stuff. And then click on the location. They have two different charts. One is for the location where you will live. And then the other one, it is for if you're going for, like, say, a vacation travel. Then you can take a look at that and see how that looks. And even though we will sometimes speak negatively of, like, say, Saturn or Pluto and your configurations, it will be helpful to look to see what is maybe supportive in those different areas. And so you would be looking for things like where your midheaven for career, or your sun line for how you present in the world. Your Venus line would be for things like the beauty, the home, companionship. Your Mercury would be something along the lines of being able to communicate via computers, internet, social media, things like this. So it's a really good resource that I like. It's simply called astro.com. And like I said, that is free. And so vibrationally, that will give you an idea of how the energies are going to be interacting with the geography. Orchid Island is amazing. Okay. So here we go. Hi, Utica. How you doing today? Gemini. Yeah, I've got, for Western astrology, I have Libra on my midheaven. And I have my Mercury is Gemini. Of course, I'm a Gemini. It's so funny. Oh dear, Rosie's having some more pains. Oh, poor baby. Okay. Right quick, hypnicity. I wanted to ask your family situation, your home situation with the family. Is that coming more into a balance? Is that more communicating? Being a little bit more calm. Scorpio's my midheaven. It's beautiful. That means you dive deep. You go intense. Something like a research scientist for Scorpio in the midheaven. But, any career, highly focused. I know Scorpio in Western astrology gets a really bad rap, but depending on where you're at with your Scorpio in the Lemurian flavor, will mean you're going to have Kitty, which is kind of the lamb. So your essence is going to be the truth. And it's going to be an intense truth. You want nothing but the truth, the real truth. And then, of course, if you are in November, then that speaks to your Scorpio being Kahuku. And then with Kahuku, that's transformation, of course, because that's the butterfly. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me, Paul Fried. We love having you here. Really happy that you're back home in Pennsylvania. Hey, you gave it a try, Absolutely. Hi, Karen. How you doing? The astrology today is going to be, we are currently in the last month of Lemuria. So this, for our calendar months, is the last of Lemuria's calendar. So this is the 12th month, and it is called Tolroa. The albatross is the sign. Yeah, Rossi, see, perfect. I am a software analyst. How perfect. So, and the essence, of course, is determination. It also speaks to the other medicine to this month is the observer mode. So literally don't take things personally this month. And it gives you the opportunity to get back up on your big wings, loft up above. Some people will use the analogy of like being up on a helicopter or a kite or a hang glider to get up above and look down on the situation. But that also gives you the opportunity to observe what went on throughout your entire year. Yeah. Okay. So what I was asking with Hypnicity was to see, I was going to do some more activations, and I was definitely going to go ahead and start in on some of our Lemurian stuff. And I'm sorry, Paul, you're going to miss out on that. But I wanted to just see how everybody was doing today so I could get a feel for what we were going to be doing energetically speaking here. And I'm going to change my little slide. You see. Ah, beautiful. I did do it, right? Yay. Wonderful. Wow, wow. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so let's go ahead and get settled in for some of this. On the back. Oh, Utica, I'm so sorry, honey. Gray, is it on the left-hand side or the right-hand side? Actually, I'm just going to say it. When I reached out to it, it's something from the abdominal wall that I can feel. Sure. Oh, sure. Okay, great. I can work with this. Left-hand side. Yeah, it's coming from the abdomen. And yeah, I can absolutely do that. Beautiful. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of vulnerability, a little bit of tender energetically, and heart. Sure. Okay, gang. I think I know what we need to do. So we're going to just settle down, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. If you are sensitive to energy, you may feel me in and around your body whenever I go to do that. But what I'm going to be starting off with will be Lemurian technology. This is the Lemurian Light Codes. It does work on a multi-dimensional, it works on a multi-dimensional level. And so we'll be doing, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm getting a whole lot of, my guides are already starting to chatter in one ear. It's like, I'm trying to tell you what I'm going to be doing. So anyways, all I'm trying to say is if you are sensitive to energy, and even if you're not sensitive to energy, if you are driving or you're working around heavy machinery today, I would really appreciate it if you could just turn this off or come back to this on a replay, or pull yourself off on the side of the road for this one. I know a lot of people that are on here are amazingly savvy whenever it comes to working with energy. And sometimes the energy that comes in is a little harder, a little bigger than what's going on. Okay? Sure. So you want, Utica, what you're going to be doing is you should be looking for a really quick timeline jump. So you can close your eyes, imagine yourself on a timeline. You can literally hold your arm up over your head if you want. You're zipping along on your little timeline on your cord. And then you can imagine with your eyes closed, look around you're looking for a cord that's going to be shiny. So it'll be like shiny gold or shiny silver. Or I'm hearing shiny green. Something that's calmer, more heart-based. And then in your imagination, let go of the cord that you're on and reach out and grab a hold of the other cord. And then see if that pushes you forward. The Red River is overflowing. I came across the strangest advice the other day regarding some of the rain. You can actually sink a copper rod in the ground and then pour water into the center of it, and it's supposed to stop the rain around your area. Are there archangels in this medicine? No, the archangels for mine, I don't mind them, and I have worked with them. Sometimes I'll call them in for outer stuff, but the Lemurian medicines that I work with, the Lemurian technologies that I work with, the coding itself is bigger, simply because it's not just, it's a different, it works multi-dimensional. It's a fractal that's much, much larger than what the angels usually focus on. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, just like Utica is saying, it was, you place a copper video. It's a video on it in the central clouds. It's literally, you just sink a copper rod into the ground, and then they showed pouring a little bit of water into the tube itself. And yeah, it's exactly what it was for. So it's worth a try. I haven't personally done it. But what I was trying to say with them archangels is that they are complementary to what I'm doing. So there are times whenever I will use them or have them around. Absolutely. It's like with Lord Metatron. Metatron is the voice of God. And so, I mean, they are complementary. Will copper filter the chemicals that they are dumping on us? Look for chelation tablets. You can also use, I'm hearing celery. Well, actually, celery will probably work because celery will help to clear. This is just for spiritual advice only. This is not to diagnose, treat anything. Okay, this is just me sharing what I had heard. But celery can help to clear, so can cilantro, aluminum from the body being lost, miners. That's because you're overstressed, Gray. I think we've all been there. I'm going to say, one of the best things that you can do is be extremely picky about what you're using in and around your body. Not just your diet, although the food that you pick is very important too. Try to reach for stuff that didn't come out of a box as much as you can. And the other thing you need to be careful with is you need to be careful of what you're consuming online. And I am so not kidding. It's incredible to me how you need to feel for things that are going to be uplifting you. Which is ridiculous because I've been trying to get to this energy work and we're already 42 minutes in. Oh, beautiful. Okay. CJ, let me go ahead and dial through some of this energy stuff. I keep putting it off, which is ridiculous today, but I do want to get us all energetically here. So I'll be right back on that. Tihe, ori, ora. Dolphins. Let me try it again. You guys can pipe down just a little bit here. Tihe, ori, ora. Mahaka watai te ingawa te to iri te otawana. Wayu tapu kita. It ingawa. Definui trarani te kita. Wayu tapu kita. It ingawa. Te faya tamatua te tama. Wayu tapu kita. Tihe, ori, ora. Interesting. Okay, we're going to go into something that's called the Po'ata, which is also known as the slow rising pillar of light. And even though I'm not going to be doing the actions to it, we are going to say the words to it. Hakta, toro papotehi tuma, kakima kakika, naro, hawatu, takima takika taitu, tehu, upo. I'm pretty sure that was done simply because we were doing so much discussion of Western astrology. And as much as I love the Western astrology, Annie Bear had asked me a little bit earlier about the thing that is behind me. And so I'm going to bring that up right quick. Let's see if I can bring myself up a bit bigger. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've got that working in the background. I'm going to bring it up more so people can see. And I'm thinking that's why we had the Po'ata show up, is because as much as I love Western astrology and how accurate Western astrology is, Geminis, Taurus, Sagittarius, etc., 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 it's part of the mechanism that was put into place on our planet, not just to navigate, but also to siphon some of our energy off. Some of the things that are really cool, we've all played with the 1111, 4/4s, 5/5s, all of the portal numbers. But there again, who provided that with you? Who gave you those numbers to work with? Oh, Utica, it unfortunately is a cold sore. So for anybody that's coming in here, I'm doing the best I can, but it's a cold sore. So it should clear up in another week or two. Doing the best I can with it. I am terribly sorry if it's distracting. Um, but as I was saying about the calendars, that's most of why this comes from Huna Flash, Huna Ma'ututaki, and I'll share it again. But it's some of the transmutation, and what it does is it is acting kind of like a Stargate wheel. The energy that is embedded in this is very active, and it is undoing some of the codes that is going on with our regular astrology. It's just a cold sore. Yeah, it's healing, but unfortunately, it is a cold sore. Um, but in here, we have transmutation codes. It's the representation of our regular calendar. You'll see the motus, which are the different animals that we have out here. Like that is Tuatara, which is a smiling gecko, Totoroa, which is the month that we're currently in. And you'll see all of the coding in there. Those are transmutation codes. They go straight into the central sun as well. And then we have Kopanui, the wombat, coming up at the bottom here. So it is all working on our energy field. And that's why I keep it in the background, is because it's doing its work. It's doing its job on an energetic and multi-dimensional level. So we'll go back over here so it's a little so my face is not quite as distracting to everybody. There we go. Let me see. I just stopped eating altogether, go to bed with the butter only. You know, sometimes, Gray, if you're doing some version of a detox, that is exactly what you need to be doing. Yep. Okay, so let's get back to CJ with your little kitten question here. Did not want to ignore you. So, can you feel what names a new kitten would like to be called? You know, one of my favorite things to do with kittens, or with any animal, actually, CJ, is you can pick out names that you really like, and then just say them to the animal, and then see if they have a response to them. See if they turn around and look at you, and then if there's no response, just keep trying a different name. Now, I will say this isn't all the time that it's going to happen. And yeah, absolutely, congratulations on the new baby. Oh, there's two of them, wonderful. Usually cats don't like S names. I know Sophia is one of those that's really popular. But a lot of times if you have a lot of S's in the name, they think you're hissing at them. So if you can avoid an S name, great. But like I said, there's always exceptions to the rule. Try out the names that you love the most and see if they will come to you. Yeah, just keep trialing through that and see if you get a reaction. Like, I'll give you an example. My very last cat that I had, his name was Mr. And the only reason he was called Mr. was because quite literally he didn't respond to Kitty. He didn't respond to hey you. He didn't respond to anything other than Mr. As soon as I called him that, he turned around and came right on up. So a lot of times in the case of them, just see which ones that they will respond to. And like I said, you know, Rossi, it's not an absolute. There are cats that will absolutely not have a problem with it. It's just one of those things that I know some cats, they just simply, they think you're hissing at them. But obviously, you know, if that's something that they're going to respond to. I mean, look at Mr. is in the middle of that name. So, you know, it's not across the whole board. You just simply do the name and then see how they respond to you. Cats especially. They really are picky about their names sometimes. I mean, come on, you pick the name out and you call them and they're not going to respond to it. That's just because they're a cat. Ultimately, our natal chart is something that can be grown out of course. And like I said, you know, I started off with Western astrology, and I was quite good at it. I was really good at using Western astrology for a shorthand. And it's still a really good tool as I'm bridging the gap, because the Western astrology tells people who they are, what they are, how they're going to react to places, and how they'll, what their love language is, how they're going to react energetically with their action spaces with Mars, or a whole bunch of things. It was created, hey Carl, it was created to describe things in the Capricorn system. But what I'm introducing with the Lemurian calendar and bringing forward more at this point is a transmutation from the age of Capricorn to the age of Aquarius. So right now, it's kind of like sitting in between the mixed waters. So you've got this coming in and it's going out and it's blending together. My face is fine. It's a little distracting for me. So I just figure we'll just put the lighthouse up there instead. Oh, the lighthouse that you see on this right now, this is located, it's called Hasita Head. And it is one of the most photographed lighthouses in the world. It's located on the Oregon coast in Florence. And the lens in there is amazing. It's Fresnel lens. And I always have a fond spot for Florence because that was my first home on the Oregon coast. So the beaches that were below this, I've spent so many hours. And that's exactly it. We're absolutely in between the two worlds right now. And so none of us really know how long it's going to take to go in between the two. I put in my 2 cents for I'd really like to do this slowly because I'd really like to not, I'd like people to be able to adapt because it's not just us. I was dog grooming and cat grooming literally in Florence, and then also up in Lincoln City on the coast when we were undergoing Y2K, and a whole bunch of the people, they simply would never, they didn't, when Y2K came and went, they didn't quite know what was going to happen. And the big hype back then was the end of the world because they decided that the computers hadn't been built to do the rollover for the year 2000. So the world was going to end. It was kind of over the top. And so what we ended up having with the dog grooming and the cat grooming at the time, the cats were amazing, but I ended up not being able to groom cats at the time because they were picking up on everybody's dis-ease and the fear that was going that had permeated with that. So yeah, for myself, I'd like to be able to do this transition a little easier so that we're not constantly in that fear, that doomy, gloomy turmoil stuff. It's pretty horrible. My Sebastian kitty, never mind, puss puss. I like the name Sebastian. When you're free, please ask the guides. I heard the Pleiadian ships had arrived in a large fleet May 3rd. Media hushed up. Oh, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. Earth's energy got spiked, huh? Gorgeous. Are the rings of the rainbow undoing codes? Yeah, to some extent. They're mostly the codes that are around the sun right now. They are activating our DNA, and that is so cool, Utica. I am so glad that they're starting to arrive. The ships are coming and going into different places where they're needed right now. So different areas are going to be needing it. It's kind of like you guys right now. I did see that there was water wars is what I'm hearing. The Katao. So they're starting to fight over the water, and it's a made-up fight for control again. And so the Pleiadians could easily be coming in to help support. And yeah, time is fluid. I was working in Y2K during health insurance during Y2K. There was a lot of controversy around it's just a big old mess. And that's just it. I know we're going from the age of Aquarius or age of Capricorn to the age of Aquarius. We got this beautiful song and everything. And a lot of people think it's just going to happen, boom, instantly. And it can, boom, instantly happen. We are sovereign here. You know, it's funny because on Saturday there was a racehorse that just won the Kentucky Derby, and his name was Sovereignty. How about that for coincidence? That was a really good race, actually. Horses did well. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of the energy work in here. So if you're sensitive to energy, you may feel, yeah, really, it was a horse named Sovereignty that won this year. He beat I guess the favorite this year was Journalism, I think was the name of that colt. I gotta admit, I've got to go back through and see where Luxor Cafe ended up. Yeah, that was the name, Sovereignty. I called it. Too bad I don't bet. I know, right? I don't bet either. But I've watched the Kentucky Derby for, some years I don't watch it, but I used to watch it whenever I was a child. So we had so many Triple Crown winners whenever it was the 70s. And so I just started watching it. The first year that I watched it, there was a filly that won it. Now they don't even let the fillies run in it, but yeah, actually it was a great race. And get this, the time this year for that race with Sovereignty winning was 2:02. For those people that love the numbers. So right now I'm up around the chest space, the lungs. I'm just going to go ahead and do some focused energy work here. I think actually, I wonder if I have that in my slide deck. Yeah, sure. Let's just go with the redwoods here for this. So we're gonna breathe deep and just ground. I love the redwoods. It was a muddy track this year, but I've seen worse. I've seen way worse. I mean, it was mud. So for 2:02, they weren't going to be doing any kind of record breakers or anything like that. But all of the colts, I was really happy. Apparently, it was a pack of 18. So I have seen it in the past where they have had it so jam-packed. So thankfully, there were only 18 colts that were running in it, and everybody handled it well. You knew it was going to be a slower race, but they handled it extremely well. I did feel bad for the winner because I sincerely hope somebody took a sponge to that boy's face because he was just, thankfully he was already a bay horse, but yeah, he was kind of coated in mud by the time he got to the winner's circle. It's pretty funny. Yeah, I just don't bet for myself. I've just never been a bettor, but I do like watching them. Deb, can I ask why one of my oldest kitties, Fishy, asks like she's a new cat and afraid of me, curling up in a fetus position or walking away? Sometimes. Oh, you're sad. Are you sad or is she sad? Yeah, I wasn't too sure. I thought the jockey might have actually been the son of one of the guys that's been doing the Kentucky Derbies for a while. She's sad. She might be getting ready to go, Carl. Right now I'm on the interior of the spine. The reason why I'm calling out the different areas as I'm doing the energy work is simply because some people are sensitive to energy, and so you can feel it. And then other people, if you don't feel me working around you at all, that's okay because it's still going to be working no matter what. There we go. So I read that they were all offspring of Secretariat in some way. So they're all cousins. Wow. That's the problem of having a closed stud book. At some point, everybody's going to be related to others. The plasma beings have arrived. That's gorgeous. Saw a video where there were two plasma balls seen zooming in. If there's the two plasma balls that were zipping around the car park, I think that is actually native to where that region is. Yeah, there's an area where I've got some relatives, and the ball lightning can happen like that too. And I did see something pop up where they were showing, oh, there were different petroglyphs from around the world. And the crazy thing on that was, they're like, look at these ancient symbols. I wonder what these ancient symbols were. And there was a man that was doing experimental techniques with plasma. And it was very hush hush. And he's like, how did you know this? And it was a dead ringer for the plasma that he had been working with. And they show up as the petroglyphs. So there had been a plasma event a long time ago. The fascinating thing is that they aren't all carbon copies, because they were drawn from different angles around the globe. And it was an important enough event that they put that onto the stones. She's got allergies. Yeah, she can absolutely be missing the ones that have left. Well, not even so much that. Oh, Randy, hi Randy. Is he humaning? She hates everyone. It can be grief, absolutely, even though it doesn't look like it to us. Um, Sometimes it can be an age group thing. Your left knee. Your left knee is bothering you. I'm going to go through the tummy first before we get to the knees, because I know Gray was struggling. Oh, Randy, I have a cold sore, in case you're wondering. So we just went to the trees, the redwoods. So right now we're working on the tummy. I'm actually working on the stomach right now. I like that, sister. That's cute. I like that, inner knowing. That's cool. Sure. Doing some around the throat. So that was also going to be the thyroid, throat. There are lymph glands that are right underneath the jaw. So we're going to do just a little bit in there. Oh, thank you, Henny Bear. And yeah, I hope this whole week for everybody is a little less stressful. Your neck. Your neck. Oh, is that why we're doing the neck? That's funny. Whoo, somebody's got a raging headache, though. Let's see if we can get that eased up a little. That's better. Yeah, I don't know who that was. Somebody came in that had just a raging headache. Randy, was that you? Do you have a raging headache? You are correct. We make it less stressful, because we're really the ones in control of what our lives look like, and we choose. We do always have a choice of how we're going to react to it. So that wasn't you having the headache. Somebody did, but it seems to be dissipating pretty quickly. Kind of settled into the eye. Yeah, my third eye is giving me pressure. This feels like it's seated behind somebody's right eye. Huh. Pressure on the head. I wonder if you're getting the same thing that Rossi's getting. My third eye giving me the pressure. It's achy. Okay. Left side heel has been hurting for 3 weeks. Holy moly, that's a long time. Okay. We're going to skitter down the spine right quick. Just a second here. Wow. Good heavens. Sorry about that. Excuse me. That was a heck of a relief. Man, oh man, oh man. This group. Okay, I'm just going to keep my eyes closed here right quick. We're going to work right through meridians right quick. I'm going to quit doing piecemeal, and we're just going to do an entire set. I'm on the shoulders right now, top of the arms. Ouch, somebody's elbow again. And yes, we will absolutely be getting to the feet and the lower legs here in just a second. Boy, this group. Well, if you're here or on the replay, energy balancing is one of the other things that I do. And there's a whole bunch of energy in here that absolutely needs balanced. If I have not called out, what I'm working on right now is still the underside of the shoulder blades, tops of the shoulder blades. You can always intend here or on the replay for whatever it is that you need. Let's say, like I said, I'm still yet to balance the knees. Right? Let's say your right ear is aching or something. Just as an example, you can intend that my right ear feels amazing. And you'll pick up the energy from this field that I'm putting out to help balance it. Oh, speaking of, has anybody else had those amazing, almost all of us have ringing in the ears, but the last couple of days, it's turning into a symphony. Some of the tones that are coming and going are starting to layer on top of each other. It's kind of been intense. Yeah, everybody was achy. I'm surprised, but there's a lot of congestion. And that's just that. It feels, the congestion, aw, that's so cool. Rossi's saying I can always feel it whenever I'm working on her. This is kind of like with brushing your teeth. I love doing the energy work. I have been extra hungry. I love doing the energy work because what it does is it clears off any stagnation that happens on the meridians themselves, and it's just like brushing your teeth. You clean it, and it's just going to happen because you're going to be going out and interacting with the world. I'll give you a good example. For example, you could be walking through a door frame and accidentally smack your elbow. Typically, after about 3 days, your body will go ahead and adjust and will redo the correct balanced flow. But if you're listening to this or one of the replays, it will balance it actually much faster, so it'll go correctly. Extra sleepy, huh? There's been a lot of energy coming in. When Debbie started the energy work, I felt a stir in my head, and then I feel nothing. And don't worry, this is what I've been trying to say. You'll hear me calling things out because there are people that are sensitive to it, and I am sensitive to it, so whenever I work on myself, like I'm feeling it or hearing it whenever I'm feeling it on a replay, it feels weird. And so that's the only reason that I mention it. If you feel nothing at all, it's still working. Your energy fields still are aligned with what I am putting out there. It's just you're not feeling it, which is perfectly fine. In fact, let me put it this way. You can't mess this up. Your energy field is going to be doing this brilliantly. And so it's just going to be cleaning it off and making sure that your meridians are in correct flow. And when your meridians are in correct flow, that means that the chi flow is going to be correct. So we're aiming for things like less pain, headaches go away. I love tuning forks. How would I know what to get if I wanted to try? My tuning fork is, let's see, the ohm on it is 136.1. I'll hop over here. No, maybe I won't. Let's see if I can get up there. There we go. Okay. There you go, Hypnicity. This is the one that I'm using. And that tone is supposed to be from Mother Nature. So go back down here. Now we'll continue to work. But I've got a whole set of them. And that's the one that I use the most. 428. And this month it is, for the solfeggio tones, it's 285 hertz. And the color orange. is supportive. Yeah, it's fascinating with the tuning forks. I actually got started with, I just said them. Yeah, it's going to be four, or not four. For this month, 285 hertz is the most supportive. But with the tuning forks, whenever I started off hands on with Shiatsu, sometimes I encountered horses or humans that it didn't matter how much that I worked with them, it still would not calm down. It is Annie Bear. It is the ohm on it is 136.1 for that. That's the one that I just showed. That's my tuning fork. Yeah, 136.1. Rossi's got it. This is for my tuning fork. And like I was saying with my tuning fork, do that. Here. But the cool thing was, whenever I started with the horses and humans, their muscling wouldn't relax. And so what I do is I would use the tuning fork and put it into the belly of the muscle. And the nice thing with it is the muscle then promptly turned into jello, because I could massage on that hard rock muscling until the cows come home, and it wouldn't matter. All I'd end up doing is bruise the outer surface. But with the tuning fork, it literally makes the whole thing vibrate. 285 hertz is the middle C on the pianos, probably. Yeah, we're doing around the throat now. Again. Okay, I'm going to close my eyes again. Yeah, I love 428. 432 is another one that's really nice. If you're aiming for something that is just an overall balancer, 432 hertz is really nice. The important thing too is to try them. That's why I love with YouTube, because you can dip around on YouTube and see how your body interacts or reacts to different things. And you just have to kiss a lot of toads sometimes. Cheaper to buy a tuning fork than a piano. Oh yeah, a little easier to carry it around than a piano too. Pianos take 6 lowland gorillas to move them. Okay, we're doing underneath the collarbones and a little on the right hand shoulder. Yeah, I do. I kiss a lot of toads. But that's just it. I mean, what resonates with me doesn't resonate with other people. And, I can absorb a frequency on one day. And then the next day, it can be one of those things where it's like, woo, definitely not for me today. But the thing that I like on YouTube is with the frequency music, especially, you dip around, you find what works for you, and you can put in like solfeggio frequency music. You can put in the style, because some people will have like a country style, some people will have classical music style, some people will have. You can, in other words, you can dip around and you can find what you want to hear in those frequency tones. You can even take popular songs and put them in as 432 hertz resonant frequencies to that popular music, and get different renditions that have been run through, so that it's a different frequency. Yeah, cosmics. And I love the sound bowls. Okay, I'm down around the hips right now. Oh, how cool. Inner Knowing is a musician. I find that the musicians, because you're working around the frequencies, they age beautifully. A lot of them are older, and they are a lot healthier. And yes, I know with the rockers, but let's face it, I mean, with the lifestyles of some of these rockers, they're pretty abusive to their bodies. And it's like, yeah, if you hadn't been, bathed in all that frequency from the music that you were doing, I don't think they would have lasted as long as they do. Bingo! Utica's got it in one. The Pleiadian ships that have med beds that heals through frequency. Yes, because that's ancient new technology. We are remembering. I have seen some of the older caves that were created. And I was always fascinated because one of the things that they used to do in ancient Greece was when people were ill, they would walk through a particular hall and they had different sound frequencies that were going. And so by the time you got to the end of the hallway, your energy was balanced. I think it was the Egyptians that also did the same thing. But I have seen healing caves that were done in India. Same thing. Dreamed of being on a starship, being healed, and later ancestors. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Dad's a musician. See, he's going to be 90. He's healthy, and he looks younger. Yeah, and it's because of the frequency. It's because of the energy of the music itself and the frequencies that he's been in and around. Absolutely. I guess the caves will have natural crystals. It wasn't just that they had a crystalline structure, because sometimes it can have that. There was a cave that was in India. I can remember watching a documentary of it. And originally I went in as an exploration because they're like, we don't know what this cave is. And I said, I do. It's a sound healing chamber is what that thing is. I think my husband thought that I was crazy, but yeah, by the time that they had completed it, it was exactly what it is. It was a sound healing chamber. So, yep, perfect. We're still working on somebody's stomach. I've done a little bit on the thyroid, the throat, lymph glands, some around the hips, but I need to get down to the knees for everybody. So we're going to go to the hip area, which can also help that upper. Yes, drums are nice. Can make a soothing heartbeat. Okay, outer thighs, going down to the knees, in and around the knees. It makes a heartbeat, Randy. Actually, if you have a phone, there's an application or something on the smartphones. I forget what it's called, but it's got an orange guitar for the icon on it. It literally turns your phone into a piano or a guitar. I think there's even a drum in there. There might even be different instruments. It's been a long time, but I remember coming across it whenever I first opened it up. Aw, wah wah, Andy Bear. Oh, I knew ye. There it goes. Okay, so still around the knees. The left knee feels better, but somebody's right knee is still bugging me. Probably bugging them too. Inner knee is what it is. So let's see if we can get in and around. Still doing around the knees. Okay, now we're going to go down the calves. It needs to be the ankles and the feet that need work. Aw, thank you for hanging out with me. And again, anybody that's here, if you have questions, you can leave them on underneath on, just leave a comment below if you have a question. And I know that the one person that apparently didn't make it over here for my live, in response to the person being in, potentially their significant person, that's up to you. I can't make calls like that, unfortunately, for the readings. What I can suggest is stay in your own lane and then see how it goes. Start off with a friendship and see if you guys are compatible. And just spend time with them. If you're going to be in a relationship with someone, you need to make sure that you guys have the same abilities, I guess you could say. Oh, that's wonderful, Rossi. I'm so glad. So glad. Yeah, there's still some behind the left knee. But currently I'm on the ankles and the feet, kind of lighting up the feet. And then we're going to come back up to the knees and work a little bit more on that. The inner knees. Why would it not work? Yeah, I like this idea with Utica. She's saying you can ask and allow. Just imagine being in the med bed while you sleep. Our imaginations are very powerful. So we've got left inner knee that I'm still working on. Ouch. Gotta love a lab, huh? Ouch. And the right knee. In and around and behind it. And now we're going to go up into the inner thighs, up into the hip and groin areas. Dr. Gale said I was helping there. Oh, that's better. Now we're going to come up through the tummy. Excuse me. No, I forgot I had that slide in there. There we go. There we go. Just kind of raising that energy up through the tummy and underneath the rib cage. So that we're also working on the spleen, liver, stomach. Mm-hmm. Small intestines. Large intestine. And then we have crystals in our tummies. And it's part of the meridian that's called a triple heater. We're going to balance that throughout the tummy now. Yeah, it's back to the polarity thing that Utica's doing. And you know, well, our cousins, our cosmic cousins can help and things like that with this, asking the Pleiadians to help intervene to stop the wars. That goes back to that polarity duality timeline. Them versus us. Yin versus yang. Up versus down. Purple versus orange. It's kind of obnoxious. green versus black. So we get up and out, and again, we're doing the up in the observer mode this month to get up and out of that polarity, duality, 3D realm, I guess you could say. Actually, it's 4D technology that causes that war. United we stand, divided we fall. Yep. In my world, there are no verses, because that's duality. And that's just it. It's a very divide and conquer mindset. So there needs to be the unity thing. And that's why we're starting to look for what unifies rather than what's dividing. So just finishing up with the interstitium there. And coming back up the midline underneath the collarbones. Dolphins. They just have that funny little laugh that they do. They're very joyful beings. And that's one too. You can look on YouTube for listening to recordings of the whales or the dolphins themselves. Just listening to them will definitely help bring in more joy and more of the laughter. Absolutely, Utica, and that is the correct response. Absolutely. And if you think, you need to call upon them, absolutely. It's like, hey, I could use some help down here. So they're right there. They've been watching too, because they want to see what we're going to do. So being here on this call right now is huge. Last week, what I did, if you go into the timestamps, last week we really focused on bringing in the information for the grid itself, because each one of us is a point of light going into the grid of planet Matea. So yeah, you can absolutely bring in and anchor in that world peace just in that spot. Don't feel like you have to effort. Don't feel like you have to do anything. Just being will light it up. Wonderful. Alrighty, everybody. We've been chipping along here. It's now almost coming up on the 1.5 hour mark. Again, later on this week, I'm going to be on an animal communication and interspecies communication. There's always going to be a war somewhere around the world until we step into, or I should say step out of 4D and go into the 5D. That's just part of it. But yeah, I'm going to be, like I said, if you're interested in the Animal Species Summit, it is free. It's going to be via Zoom calls, and there is a whole bunch of speakers that will be running for all Saturday and then all of Sunday. I think it starts at 10 a.m. But I have that posted in the link in my posts, and I'm going to be trying to do it as well. I'll post that again as well. Yeah, tomorrow we have a drill in case of the airstrike. Utica, I hope everything goes beautifully for you. Have some books on hand. Blackouts are boring. But it is good to do the drills too. And yeah, let there be peace. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Okay, gang. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hop out of here. If you're interested, I'm going to be doing the Ding Doodle on Saturday. Is going to be my talk. And then I don't have anything else on the books until next Tuesday. So thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me, Utica. I sincerely hope that everything goes beautifully and that your Pleiadian friends step in and can do what they do to keep things calm. Isn't that the way of it? Mm-hmm. As we step forward. Beautiful, CJ. That's wonderful. You'll have to let us know next week what your kittens decided their names would be. Wonderful. Okay, everybody, take good care of yourselves, and thank you again for showing up here. We really appreciate it. Okay. Wawa nui. Wawa.